What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. We want to take a look at a dynamic lightweight champion from Puerto Rico, Carlos Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz was born in Maya West, Puerto Rico, and came to the Bronx, had several amateur fights. When he turned professional, he did very well for himself to a point where he got an opportunity to fight for the lightweight championship against Joe Brown. Joe Brown took the title away from Wallace Bud Smith, and during his reign, he carried his championship title very well. And Carlos Ortiz wanted to continue with that tradition, fighting such greats as Lynn Mathis, battling Torres, Joe Brown himself, Kenny Lane, and many greats. Let's take a look at his outstanding career. Now, as you can see here, the rankings for 1963. In the lightweight division, the world champion was Carlos Ortiz out of New York. Number 1 was Carlos Hernandez, Venezuela. Carlos Hernandez was an outstanding fighter. Number 2, Bunny Grant from Jamaica, another good fighter. Number 3, Doug Vellin, Cuba, outstanding fighter. Number 4, Joe Brown, Houston, Texas, dynamite fighter. He was from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, before he moved to Texas. Number 5, Arthur Presley, Red Cross, Louisiana. And I'm just showing you this because these are the fighters he's going to have to either go through or defend his title against. Number 10, Nicolino Loche from Argentina. This fighter was, I would say, number 5 best defensive fighter of all times. Nicolino Loche. Dynamite defensive fighter. Let's take a look more. Now let's take a look at some stats. In 1936, Carlos Ortiz was born in Maya West, Puerto Rico. In 1959, he won the vacant world light welterweight title against Kenny Lane. 1960, he lost the world light welterweight title to Diallo Louis. 1962, he beat Joe Brown for the World Lightweight Championship. Now, Joe Brown took the title away from Wallace Bud Smith, but he held that title gracefully. They called him Old Bones. Old Bones Joe Brown. In 1965, Carlos Ortiz lost and regained title against Ismael Laguna, outstanding fighter. 1968, he lost the lightweight title to Carlos Theo Cruz. Here you have Carlos Theo Cruz, phenomenal fighter himself, from the Dominican Republic. Carlos Theo Cruz was a fascinating fighter. 1972. Last fight was against Ken Buchanan at the age of 36. Carlos Ortiz had a career record of 70 fights. He won 61 of those 70 fights, lost 7, drew 1, and had 1 no contest. Carlos Ortiz, who dethroned Joe Brown to win the World Lightweight Championship on April 23rd, 1962, was born in Maya West, Puerto Rico, September 9th, 1936. He was christened Carlos Juan. He is one of a large family consisting of 5 girls and 3 boys. As an amateur, he won all but 1 of 34 fights. He gained the AAU Lightweight Championship in 1954, and as a member of the AAU group, he repeated the triumph in the international bouts in London. He was a member of the Madison Square Boys Club and competed also for the 165th Infantry National Guard, 42nd Division, in which part of the organization, he was a corporal gunner. Ortiz graduated from the Machine and Metal Trade High School of New York In June 1955, it was while at school that he turned professional and engaged in his first fight, February 14, 1955, stopping Harry Bell in the first round. He enrolled up a record of 7 knockouts in 12 bouts that year, winning the remainder by decision. On June 12, 1959, he won the Junior NBA Welterweight Championship by stopping Kenny Lane in the second round. On February 4th, the following year, he retained the title, defeating Battling Torres. That was a very good fighter, in Los Angeles. He knocked Torres out in the 10th round. Then in San Francisco, he fought Gilo Loy for the junior welterweight crown and again retained his throne, winning the decision in 15 rounds. But in the return engagement in Italy, Carlos Ortiz lost the title. Thereafter, Carlos decided to make his bid for the lightweight championship and was matched in Las Vegas on April 21st, 1962. He made his first defense in Tokyo, Japan on December against Little Flashy Ilore and defeating Kenny Lane. Now, he took that title away from Joe Brown. And Joe Brown I most admired because he acted like a champion. After he took the title away from Wallace Bud Smith, he fought all comers, didn't duck anyone. They called him Old Bones Brown. And Old Bones Brown was a champion. Salute to Old Bones Brown. Outstanding fighter. On April 10, 1965, Ortiz lost the title to Ishmael Laguna by a split decision after 15 rounds in Panama City. In a return bout on November 13, 1965 in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Ortiz regained the crown, winning the decision in 15 rounds. Phenomenal. Won it in his hometown. So let's take a look at his career. Now, Carlos Ortiz out of New York City, lightweight born, Ponce, Puerto Rico, September 9, 1936. He stood 5 foot and 7 inches. 1955, Carlos Ortiz began his professional career. And he was on a card on February 14th against a fighter by the name of Harry Bell in New York. Knocked him out in 1 round. Same month, February 28th, Morris Hardnett, New York, knocked him out in 1 round. May 13th, Danny Roberts, New York, killed him in 3 rounds. May 30th, Juan Pacheco, New York, killed him in 2 rounds. June 24th, Jimmy Dumura, Syracuse, New York, defeated him in 6 rounds. August 10th, Tony DeCola, New York, defeated him in 6 rounds. September 19th, Hector Rodriguez, New York, knocked him out in 2 rounds. October 3rd, Leroy Graham, New York, knocked him out in 2 rounds. And this continues, 1956, all wins, 1 knockout. December 15th, Phil Kim was a good fighter out of California. I'll show you his profile one day. Knocked him out in 9 rounds. 1957, January 23rd, Bobby Rogers, Chicago, defeated him in 10 rounds. March 2nd, Lou Filippo, Hollywood, California, 9 rounds, no decision. April 9th, a repeat. This time he knocked him out in 7 rounds. May 7th, Ike Vaughn, Miami Beach, Florida, 10-round decision. September 23rd, Harry Bell, New York, 10-round decision. 1958, February 28th, Tommy Tibbs, New York, 10-round decision. May 9th, Joe Lopez, California, defeated him in 10 rounds. June 27th, Johnny Buzo, very good fighter, New York, lost in 10 rounds. September 19th, Johnny Buzo, New York, defeated him in 10 rounds. December 31st, he fought Kenny Lane in Miami Beach, lost in 10 rounds. 1959, April 13th, Len Mathis, a very good fighter from Philadelphia, knocked him out in 6 rounds. June 12th, Kenny Lane, New York. This time he knocked him out in 2 rounds and won a junior welterweight championship. 1960, February 4th, he defended it against Battling Torres, Los Angeles, California, knocked him out in 10 rounds. That was a very good fight. June 15th, Julio Louis, San Francisco, California, defeated him in 15 rounds and retained the junior welterweight championship. September 1st, Julio Louis, he lost in 15 rounds and lost his junior welterweight title. 1961, February 2nd, Cisco Andrea, Los Angeles, very good fighter, lost in 10 rounds. He defeated him in 10 rounds. May 10th, Deloy Louis, lost in 15 rounds for the junior welterweight title. So this is going back and forth with him. September 2nd, Doug Villant, Miami Beach, good fighter, defeated him in 10 rounds. November 18th, Paulio Rossi, another good fighter, New York, defeated him in 10 rounds. 1962, April 21st, Joe Brown, Las Vegas, Nevada, defeated him in 15 rounds and won the World Lightweight Championship. Stunning defeat. August 1st, Arthur Pursley, Manila, defeated him in 10 rounds. 1963, April 7th, Doug Villant, San Juan, Puerto Rico, knocked him out in 13 rounds and retained the World Lightweight title. 1964, February 15th, Flash Allure, Manila, knocked him out in 14 rounds to retain the World Lightweight title. April 11th, Kenny Lane, San Juan, Puerto Rico, knocked him out in 15 rounds. He defeated him in 15 rounds, retained the World Lightweight title. 1964, April 11th, Kenny Lane, San Juan, Puerto Rico, defeated him in 15 rounds. 1965, April 10th, Ishmael Laguna, Panama City, he lost in 15 rounds and lost the World Lightweight title. November 13th, Ishmael Laguna, San Juan, Puerto Rico, defeated him in 15 rounds, regained the World Lightweight title. 1966, April 7th, Nicolino, I always forget how to pronounce his name, Loche Benavides, 10-round decision. Draw. This was an outstanding defensive fighter. Nicolino Loche, an outstanding defensive fighter. He really was. He was very underrated. I have his profile. I must share that with you. But he was a fascinating defensive fighter. You couldn't hit him, as they used to say, with a bag of rice. One of the best defensive fighters of all time. June 20th, Johnny Pizarro, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 12-round knockout, retained the World Lightweight title. October 22nd, Sugar Ramos, Mexico City. He knocked him out in 5 rounds to retain the World Lightweight title. November 28th, Flash Elorde, New York, knocked him out in 14 rounds. That's a fascinating feat because Flash Elorde was a dynamite Filipino fighter. Awesome. Good champion. He had his good fights with Sandy Sadler. Retained the World Lightweight title. 1967, July 1st, Sugar Ramos, San Juan, Puerto Rico, knocked him out in 4 rounds to retain the World Lightweight title. August 16th, Ishmael Laguna, New York, defeated him in 15 rounds to retain the World Lightweight title. 1968, June 29th, Carlos Theo Cruz, Santo Domingo, lost 15 rounds and lost the World Lightweight title. November 21st, Emando Delight, Imandoli Light. There you go. New York. Defeated him in 10 rounds. 1970, he was inactive. 1971. He went on to knock out all his opponents except for Greg Potter, May 1st, Los Angeles, that went 10 rounds. And his last fight was September 20th, Kim Buchanan, New York. He was stopped in 6 rounds. Total fight of 70, KO 29. Won on a decision, 32. Carlos Ortiz. What can I say? Outstanding lightweight champion. I met Carlos Ortiz in Gleason's gym. He trained a fighter by the name of Stefan Johnson. And Stefan Johnson was a very good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he passed away in the ring after a fight with Vince Pittaway. And, it just takes back memories, but he introduced me to Carlos Ortiz. Very nice fighter, very nice person. He used to drive a taxi cab in New York after his career was over. But he would sit down and tell me about a lot of old fighters back then. And that's how I became, one of the reasons why I became fascinated with boxing. And he would tell me thousands of hours of stories about the fighters in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s. And he would introduce me to trainers that were standing right next to me all that time. I didn't even know they were ex-fighters or handled ex-fighters. And Victor Valley had, his fighter before that, Stefan Johnson. So between the two of them, I learned a great deal about boxing. So I owe a lot to Carlos Ortiz. Dynamite fighter, dynamite humanitarian. Salute to Carlos Ortiz. I did a tribute to the Puerto Rican fighters the other day. And Carlos Ortiz was a great Puerto Rican fighter, great champion. So salute to Carlos Ortiz, great champion. He's been inducted into my museum with the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Awesome fighter was Carlos Ortiz. Salute to Carlos Ortiz. Salute to my subscribers. Thanks for hanging in there with me. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series, where the greats will never be forgotten. Peace.